was gone so long that Mama Berta came round the side of the house, and she thought he was having a heart attack because he was weeping so convulsively and deeply. When he came home and told me that, of course, we both wept, that children, which we had worked with people in poverty before, but that children could be so neglected as these children were. So we began praying and saying, see, our lives were shifting, but we didn't understand it fully then. But we began praying and saying, Lord, what can we do to help these children? Just feeding them one meal a day is not enough. What can we do? So we had this idea. Because we had originally gone to Kenya to do medical missions, it's never left our heart. And we asked our church in Nairobi one Sunday, if you're in the medical profession, please stay after the service. We want to meet with you. And we were just shocked. We had several doctors, several nurses, lab techs, pharmacists. We had a whole medical missions team in our Nairobi church, and we hadn't realized it. So I'll tell you what we did. This was 2002. We bought $5,000 worth of medicine. We leased 2 buses. We leased tents. We bought water. We did it. We bought everything we needed. And we trekked to Budalangi. And we held a medical missions clinic. I'll never forget that it impacted so many of our lives, including Wade's and mine. And my mother was with us at that time, and she went with us on that trip. Church, to see people who had never, we treated 700 people that day who had never seen a doctor. All kinds of diseases, so many had HIV and AIDS. We treated all those children. And I'll tell you a couple of stories. And I want to paint a little picture. There was drought at that time. No grass. Trees didn't have any greenery on them. Wind blowing, dust whipping. You know, you just felt like you were almost in hell. I'm sorry to put it that way, but that's what it felt like. And at one point during the day, I looked to my left, and I saw this little boy about like this. And as he neared, I could see he was walking on the sides of his feet so painfully and so slowly. And as he came closer, I thought, this must be what leprosy looks like. Because his feet were full of pussy eruptions. His hands were splayed and oh so infected. And he just had this painful, strained expression on his face. I marveled that he could walk at all. But soon, the doctors and nurses, there was a man sitting, got him down on the ground, and a man sat on each arm and each leg. And a nurse took a knife, and without anesthetic, she began cutting out worms. And what he had was not leprosy, but it was jiggers, which are parasites that burrow in between toes and fingers and under fingernails and toenails. That's their entry point. They burrow in and lay their eggs inside. And the eggs, after they hatch, become worms. And your body is the host of those jiggers. So he had had them so long, and he would have died from them if he had not received treatment. He was in so much agony, and they could not give him anesthetic because they explained, Pastor, if we give him anesthetic, it will excite the worms. They will begin moving toward his heart and lungs, and he will die. So there I was, church, watching this little boy held down by four adults, the nurse digging out these white worms, blood spurting. The little boy was crying, I was crying, and I felt like I was in hell. And I saw so many things that day that I felt overwhelmed. like, Lord, it wouldn't matter if we had $1 million. I don't know that it would do that much good, because, church, I could tell you one thing after another I saw physically. But the main thing was these children had a broken heart. I could tell their hearts were broken because they didn't have a mother or father. Their relatives were dead. Mama Bernie explained they had been rejected by the community. They had stones thrown at them like you would throw at a dog to chase them away, because the community was so poor. They, just like Mama Bernie had no food to feed them, the community was not Christian. Mama Bernie's a Christian. They were not Christian. They practiced witchcraft. And nor did they have the food to give these children. So I looked at these children. You'd try to hug them, and they were just like tree stumps, unresponsive, because no one had ever hugged them. You would look in their faces and smile, but their faces were blank and impassive, because they didn't know how to smile. They didn't know how to express joy, or that they were glad to be receiving help. They didn't know how to express positive emotions. If you put food down in front of them, which we did that day, they would fight over it, because they didn't know anything but desperate survival. And I just felt like I was staring into an abyss that, Lord, I don't know. This is beyond us. That's what I felt. That whatever we do, it's not going to be enough. I could see mountain after mountain of need. But church, God was about to change my life and my husband's life as well as theirs. Here's what he did. He began putting it in our hearts. After we left that day, we traveled back to Nairobi so burdened, glad we had gone, but not seeing the way forward. But he began to impress our hearts, first of all. And all of this was being done. I've never known an independently wealthy missionary. All of us live in foreign lands and do what we do because we have partners in ministry. And this was not in our budget, nor did we have the money for it. But we decided, well, the first step we're going to do, we're going to feed them 2 meals a day. And then we left medicine there, and we kept sending medicine there because several of them had HIV/AIDS. What you do is you try to get one disease after another off their little immune systems. So church, we dewormed them. We treated got rid of malaria, got rid of pneumonia, we treated skin diseases, all kinds of infections. A vitamin company donated vitamins, and we began giving them vitamins. That helped them take a big step forward. We didn't come out of that hole, or that mountain didn't come down like that. I'm going to say from 2002, it took till 2005